Today I'll cover some topics. It's going to be a special lecture. I'm not doing the Old Testament survey, but rather, it's a related subject, and this is a subject actually I'm teaching on Tuesdays this quarter, and that's a part of what I'm teaching. And I think it is related to the topics that you guys are studying at this class. So today I'm going to cover this about 2 50-minute sessions. I'll have a break in between, so you can go to the bathroom or do something in between, in 10 minutes break. Let's see, what else do I need to introduce myself with? I've been working with basically the younger people. I worked in Korea as a staff for the campus ministry called the University. They have it's a global movement, and I became a Christian when I was 17, but I was born as a third generation Christian. My grandfather from North Korea, and he came down during the war and settled down in South Korea, Seoul, and I was born in Seoul as a third generation Christian. I went to church, but I did not have that faith until I was 17, and that happened when I was in Africa. My father was a medical doctor, and he was sent to Africa to serve as a government aid to the country, and the whole family went there. And I was studying in a MK school. It's a missionary kids school, a school for missionary children. And there I learned the Bible again and knew who Jesus Christ was, and accepted Jesus as my personal Savior and the Lord, and I become a believer since. And I became a minister when I was in college actually, and continued to serve God as a full-time minister since then. So it's like 30 plus years as a minister so far. And I came to America in year 93. And since I served in a church and on campuses, and this is actually my first teaching year after getting a PhD at William Carey International University in Pasadena. So please enjoy the lessons and the knowledge that you are going to hear today. When someone asks you what is a Christian day, by the way, who are the Christian believers here? Anyone Christian? No? Okay. So this might be a new subject for you guys. But you're studying Old Testament, right? In this class? What's the subject of your study in this particular class? I remember. What's the title of the class?
Leadership of the Old Testament.
Old Testament leadership. Good. Actually, I taught the leadership last quarter for my subject, leadership lessons on biblical leadership. Anyway, so Christianity. When as a Christian, when you are asked what is a Christianity, not many Christians has proper right answers, and probably, I mean, since none of you guys are Christian, but any Catholics though? No. So, most common answer to this question, what is Christianity? The answer would be, it's a religion. And me as a Christian, I don't think it's a right answer. I mean, it's half right and half wrong. When you answer Christianity is a religion. So today I'll try to present you guys with some other ideas about Christianity other than religion. You know, we have a global religion, Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism, maybe, and Judaism is one related, and Buddhism is a big thing for us Asians, and also Confucius ideals. Confucius ideals, though it's not a religion, it takes a probably major philosophical and thought and the culture paradigm for Asian countries. Example, China, of course, and Korea. We've been, doing Confucius study and ideals several hundred years. So, pretty much, I could say Korea is a Confucius ideal country, and also some, not that much like Korea and Japan, but Korea and China, but Japan also has some idea about Confucian ideals. So if you're from like a mainland China or Taipei, Hong Kong, I mean you cannot avoid to be ideally influenced by Confucius ideals. So that's a big thing in Asia, and I also grew up as a Korean student, learning how to respect your parents and how to respect your ancestors and so forth, and also that the authority figure is important, and you know that Korea has even the language for the elderly people. So that's in my bone, in my DNA. And when I come across Christianity, some of the teachings in Christianity is pretty much similar to that of Confucius ideals, but there are many differences compared to Confucius ideals to Christian ideals. So we could go on and try to identify and answer what is Christianity in 2 hours session. I'll go quick fast. So this is not like a deep survey to the answer, but a brief presentation. So I'll try to give you some ideas about the answer to that question. So why should we study Christianity? I mean, you guys are studying Old Testament leadership, even though majority of you are not a believer. I mean, this school, Lordland College, is to be a so-called Christian institution. So it is based on those Christian ideals. So it is good to know what the school is standing for, what the school is trying to pursue and teach. And first thing, no doubt, the Christianity is a leading global religion. Compared to Islam, it's pretty much the same. I mean, Catholic and Protestant together, if you add them, it has pretty much a similar number of population for as much as Islam does. So it's a major religion, and then it is good to study about the major religion, right? And also, I mean, you come to study in America, and I'm sure that you are on student visa, right? So if you come to study, and some of you may intend to remain as long as possible and try to live in here. And even though you go back to a country of your origin, China, wherever you came from, still it is good to understand Western civilization. Many say the history goes from Europe to North America, and now North America to Asia, particularly those three countries in Far Eastern Asia: China, Korea, and Japan. And it looks like the 21st century, the health latter end of 50 years will be led by China, Korea, and Japan, and I have no doubt about it. So, but still, to be a global power and a global to have a global presence, it is good to know what Western civilization is standing on. And without understanding Christianity, it is not possible. So whether you're a Christian or not, it is important to understand what the Christianity is aiming at. You may have a vague idea, just a little idea about Christianity, but I'll try to help you to understand what the Christianity is about. Especially as you live in a Christian America. I mean, even though many the society and culture has changed to be more secular, meaning away from religion, still America is based on the Christianity. The Constitution is strongly based on the Christian ideals and thoughts. So it is important to understand Christianity. And it is also a common knowledge I mean, if you are doing a college education, it is must to understand about the Bible and Christianity to be more global and more academic. So our academic intrigue, you should be interested in what does the Bible say and what the Christianity is saying, because you know that the Christianity has formed and it did make the history go as it is today. And Korea and even China is, if you're not aware of it, but there's many things that comes from Christianity that benefit us, whether you're a churchgoer or not. So it is key to understand. To identify something, whether it's a subject or whether it's a person, whether it's a thing, whether it's an idea, whatever the object is, to identify, to name, and to understand a certain thing, it is important. What is its being? What's the essence and the nature? So you gotta know what makes it to be. So is and does, the doing and being is key. Especially when it's a living thing or organization or a nation even. What is it being? And what is it doing? Even a nation, what a country does may identify what that country is. So doing and being is important. And also the third one, the distinctive characteristic, meaning what's the difference between this and that. For example, let's see, apple and banana. I mean, both are fruits. You eat and it has some sweet flavor, but what's the difference? The color is different. Banana usually is yellow, apple usually red, and the shape is different. Banana is long, and apple is round. And banana is from a tropical climate, while the apple grows in the countries with the seasons. So that's like a distinctive characters. So when we're trying to identify what Christianity is, we're going to ask what is Christianity and what does it do, and how is it different from other religion or other system or context that is similar to Christianity. So that's how we approach. This is a very scientific way how the Westerners studied the subject. And this is probably the very beginning of any science or any academic pursuit. So as a student, it is important to know this as your tool. Okay, these are four main categories that we are going to identify the Christianity as. So Christianity is a thrust. Thrust is a force. It is a dynamic force going from A to B. So your car, the car you're driving, has a thrust to go forward when you put the gear in and step on your accelerator. So it has a thrust to go, and your wheel kind of changes the direction of thrust. That's how you travel. So the first thing I believe that Christianity is a thrust. It's a thrust into the culture, and it's a thrust into the history, and it is a thrust into a person's life. So any religion, any good religion, whether it's Buddhism, Islam, or Christianity, they do have a certain thrust. So it tries to go from A to B. And any good religion tries to change a person. It tries to change a culture. It tries to change a family. So Christianity tries to change your family to be more to God's design. It tries to change, Christianity tries to change a person so they can live a happy and better life. And so any religion does that. So it is a thrust, it has a direction, it wants to go to a certain way. And B, it is a reality, meaning reality. I mean, you face reality every day. You have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to dress up, you have to drive, you put the gas in your car. You need to earn money while you're studying because you have to support yourself. These are realities, and you cannot avoid. Many people think Christianity is an ideal. It's just there, and it's separated from your life. But that's not true. Christianity has to do everything that you are living about. So it is a reality, and it is there. Number 3, C, it's a reasoning. As a person and as a student, you may have many questions. There are some, little questions. For example, when you come out of, your house today to come to school, you're going to ask, what am I going to wear today? What color socks am I going to wear? These are the small questions. Bible, the Christianity is not trying to answer those questions, but it tries to answer big questions and give the reason. So it gives a reason to live. Why do I live? Why am I here? Why am I studying? And why do I have to get married? And how about the children? Children, you know that if you're a parent, children, you cannot control them as you want to. We used to, in old days, you use the stick and to tame your children, but not any longer. So there are many questions in your life. Why the sufferings? Why all these disasters? And the final question, why do I have to die? What's the cause of that? And these are the questions that you try to answer. And Christianity is a practice. It comes with a lot of things that you have to do as a Christian. So there are many things that it says you're going to do this, you're going to do that as a believer. And these are 4 major categories that I'm going to speak about. I'm not sure if we can cover everything today, but I will try to. Okay, Christianity as a thrust. It's something called initiative. Initiative is today it is used as a political language. So when you take an initiative, it's usually a political thing. You try to lead something. The definition of an initiative is this. Let me read it to you. It says the ability to assess and initiate things independently, and the power or opportunity to act or take change before others do. So before others do, you do it first. You're the one who goes first. That's leadership. Okay. So you're studying leadership, so you know the initiative is important. Before someone does anything, you're gonna take a lead, and that's initiative. And it comes with a certain action, activities, and programs, and the structures. So Christianity is an initiative. It takes a lead. If you're a Christian, you're always taking the lead. You're doing something before others do. For example, you are serving others before anyone does that, and you're coming to help someone. If you're a Christian, you have to come. You're coming to serve someone before any others do. So these are the very important initiatives. Not only personally, as a church, as a nation, you take an initiative. So Christianity is an initiative, and as an initiative, it has a purpose-driven thrust. Purpose-driven thrust. So Christianity has ultimate purpose, which means as a Christian, you have an ultimate purpose. So any religion, good religion provides you with a purpose. And for example, Buddhism, you're trying to empty yourself. So you reach as what we call in English nirvana, I don't know, it's pretty much similar in Korean, Yeolban, which is a Chinese, two characters. You reach a certain stage where you're no longer obligated to anything. So that's the purpose of Buddhism. Ultimate purpose of Christianity is shalom. I'll talk about it later on. And bring positive changes. So what Christianity does is to bring positive changes. So you can live together in peace and harmony. And to give to a given context, meaning whether it's a person, or whether it's a society, whether it's a community, whether it's a nation, and especially to a church. When you have a church, there are many different people. They are not holy and perfect. The church itself has many flaws and problems. Earthly church that we know of. So we want to change the church toward that positive ideal. So that's what the initiative is about. And this might be new to you. Christianity is a religion partially, but that's not everything. Rather, it is a civilization. When we talk about civilization, you may remember the several major civilizations before we come to this. For example, Mesopotamian civilization, that's where all this Christianity and Judaism and Islam has started. So Mesopotamia. And then we have Hwang the big river civilization, which developed around that Yellow River in China. So that's one big major civilization. So what is a civilization? It's a stage of becoming into a more developed stage toward the best. stage of human existence. So we exist, and I'm sure that Korea and China is much, much better than what it used to be 20, 40 years ago. You know, economically especially, and everyone is, well, I'll say happier and better in many aspects. And China also enjoys more freedom than it used to. So is Korea. Now we say Korea is a democratic state. So those are the signs of a civilization. When you're civilized, it becomes better for everyone, not just a few people, but it becomes better for everyone. That's what the civilization is. So civil means, it means human dignity. It respects human dignity. So a person is most important thing in anything, whether it's the economy, whether it's a politics, whether it's a school. And see, this is pretty much a difficult change. I mean, as a Korean, you know, there's a North Korea and South Korea. You know how it is in North Korea. And of course, South Koreans are more respected as a person than a person in North Korea. And then there's a government power, and you as an individual, how much freedom and dignity do you have? That's the question. In America, I think America and some European countries, they value a person to other than anything. Money, it comes later. The state, the country, the government is less important than a person. That's a sign of a civilization. So what the Christianity is trying to do is put a person, every individual at the top. And that's what Christianity is. So freedom, justice, peace and harmony. These are the signs of good developed civilization. And also protecting and serving the weak and disabled, less so-called less important people, the minorities and the laborers. And these are Christian ideals. And you guys know that, you study the communism and socialism if you're Chinese and not Korean. And those ideals, the communism and socialism, it all came out of Christianity. That's the root. So communism is nothing different or separated from Christianity. So Christianity produces these ideals to help a country or a group of people more civilized. So Christianity, answer. What is a Christianity? Answer. It is a civilization. So, give you a brief example in history how this civilization. I mean, Israel and Jews, they are probably the most civilized country in Middle East at the time of Abraham and Noah and all these people. So like 2,000-3,000 years ago in the Middle East, they had Israelites and Jews, they had a different set of ideals. So that's one example. Roman Empire, how the Roman Empire become a big empire is because they adopted Christianity as their national religion. And Enlightenment and Renaissance, many think it's against Christianity, but actually it came out of Christianity. So these are the Renaissance and Enlightenment are the big thing in history, and it is a result of Christian civilization. And the Industrial Revolution and democracy. many countries believe that democracy is the best known way to rule a nation. Democracy also means each and every people in your country or your society is the key, and they are most valuable assets. That's the Christian ideal. So we see those in civilization. Okay. Part 2. Christianity as a reality. Many think if you're a Christian, you go to church on Sundays, and then you come back to your life, and it's a religion on Sundays, Sunday religion. But that is not true. Christianity is as real as it can be. And even many Christians, those who are going to church, they don't think Christianity as a reality. They think it's a religion, and it only has to do with the church, but that's not true. So what I'm saying is Christianity is a real, it's an everyday thing, it's a daily thing in your life. So Christianity, another way Christianity is life. It's a living, a way of living. So reality, by definition, this is a dictionary definition of reality, and it's a true objective existence. And the world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. So it's not just an idea, reality is true and it is there, it's your everyday thing, it's tangible, you can touch it and you can see it. So when you say a religion, it's something that's not visible, it's something spiritual, but Christianity is real. The state of quality or having existence or substance. And my vocabulary for reality is context. You as a student, a college student, I suggest you get familiar with this word context, because you're going to hear that word a lot while you're studying. Context is a very important thing in these days. It wasn't, but the word context becomes more popular and more important in academic work. So it is good to know what the context is. So Christianity has to do with the context. It is a context. So what is Christianity? The answer is it is a context. And the context, by definition, this is a dictionary definition of context. Reality and context are the same thing that I'm talking about. So it is the circumstances or reality, or reality that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed. But my definition of a context is this on the brown letters. It's the integrated reality that is whole, coherent. Whole means everything, including everything. Coherent means it's connected, not divided. And distinctive to a particular group of people. So there is a certain group of people, 2 or more, 3, 4, 5,000, millions people. And then that people share same context. A nation is an example of a context. If you are an American, North American, you share a certain context. As a citizen. If your family, for example, that's probably the smallest context that you experience every day. husband and wife, the children. That's a unique context. So that's what the context is. And Christianity is a context. So it's a whole integrated, coherent, and it's a reality and existence. So that's an example of how people understand a context. So, I mean, I say again, the context is a very important concept as you continue to study in America. In this particular model, it says a culture and social technology and mental thinking and environment. These are, that's what forms your reality. So your reality, your family is your part of your context. And your job, your workplace, that's a part of your context. And the school you're coming, that is also a context. And the context involves your existence, your reality. And Christianity, a good Christianity, I mean, it has to be a context. So for me, a context are these things: people, culture, and society, history, and ecology. These are like 5 major elements that creates or makes your context. So, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're young or old, male or female, Chinese or Korean, it doesn't matter. Everyone has these contexts. And you have your people, you have your culture, and you have your history, and you have your community or society, and you have that ecology, surroundings that you are in. So again, this is a diagram showing how the context is. So you will try to understand the meaning of this context. Okay. First, people. I'm going to cover this each element briefly. People, Christianity. It's a special, particular people. Christian are people who believe in true in God. This is probably the most, confusing thing about Christianity, especially for like Islam or Jews. If you're a Jew or Islam, they cannot understand why one God is 3 and 3 is one God. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, the statement itself, what I said, it's not rational. 3 in 1 and 1 is 3. I mean, it's a crazy idea. But Christians believe we have 3 gods who are 1. 1 God who are 3. So that's Trin God. And thing is belief and being born again through Jesus Christ. That's the main thing in Christianity. You have to be born again as a Christian. I mean, going to church and being baptized, that's nothing. I mean, you don't really truly become a believer. You become a believer when you are born again. That's probably the new concept for those who are not a Christian. Again, let me ask you, how many of you are believers, Christians? Any Christians? No? None of you Catholics? Any Baptist? And no Protestant? So, you're learning Old Testament leadership, though you're not a Christian. And you're learning about Christianity before you go into the Old Testament. So, born again is a very key concept for so-called evangelical Christians. These are evangelical Christians are Bible-believing Christians, and there are some other Christians as well. But This is how I believe. And it's grafted. Once they are born again, they are grafted into a church. They become a church. That's how it is. And our goal as a Christian is to bring a new Israel, the new kingdom. So, in other words, a new nation, new country. Many people in history, to name them, most of the kings who started the new country. Welcome, and I'll continue. I know many of you guys are from the mainland China, and I know a little history about China. There's about 900 some dynasties in Chinese history, and Korea had quite a few, but less than 50. So when a dynasty begins, the leader says, I'm going to start a new and better country, better nation, better dynasty. Mao Zedong, he had the idea about the new, better country. And I mean, the old President Park in Korea, he had an idea about a better country. So every leaders, they have those ideas. And the Christianity, it is pursuing a so-called new heaven, new earth, the new kingdom. So that's what it is. So it is about people. Christianity is about people, building a nation, building a country, a global nation. And you have to be born again through Jesus Christ. Again, it includes every nation. It doesn't matter whether you're Chinese, Korean, Japanese, or Vietnamese. It doesn't matter, American, white, or black. And so it includes all the ethnic people, whether you're from Middle East, it doesn't matter. Christians are Christian. So there's no, distinction about ethnic or nationality. And some Christians, I'm sorry to say, do not believe this, and they are not believing the right Christianity. All people are same, whether young or old, and it doesn't matter. And it's a global presence. It has a global presence, and believe church as an eternal entity, meaning it does not end. It goes forever. As there are many things, most things that we know do not go forever. It sometimes stops, disappears, dies. So, but there's something that's eternal, meaning it's forever. It stays, remains, and so. And we believe the church, the new kingdom is forever. Now, Christianity is a history. History involves not just memorizing certain dates and the years, but it's a lot more than that. So history is bigger than what you're studying at school as a history. And my terminology, history, is how you come into a being. That's a definition of history. And we believe as a Christian believe this, his story. So the language itself, English language is Christian. They say history, his story. Who's he? He's God. So those people who are using English language, basically they believe the human history is God's story, It's a God who is controlling or coming together with the human history. That's how the word history came to the being. History is a continuum. It continues without being stopped. A continuum and generation to generation, and it's a narrative and it has characters. So when you try to understand Christianity, it does have narratives and it has many characters. And I'm sure that you're learning those characters in this particular class. All narratives, whether it's Abraham, whether it's Moses, whether it's Jacob or Joseph, those characters have stories. Probably we are going to learn about King David and King Solomon. These are the kings of Israel, but they are also godly people, God's people. So the things that you're studying has to do with this. I mean, the history narratives. History and narrative is not just a story, but it's his story and our story. How God has dealt with his people. Whether you're a Christian or not, actually, God considers you as his people, his children. That's why you guys come here and listening to this class. I mean, you probably never had a chance before to hear about Christianity or Jesus Christ or God, the Yahweh or Jehovah God. These are probably the new thing. You never heard of it. But when you come to this school, now you're hearing this. And it is God's design and God's will and God's plan that you come to this particular class and listen this. You may not become a believer right away. You may have probably negative ideas as a result of these classes. People respond in different ways to the same teaching. But I believe some of you are going to end up to becoming a born-again believer because you came to this school. Now, there are episodes, and history has a beginning and the end. And the major thing for history is transformation. Change for the better. You heard about what evolution, right? And you heard about creation. Whether you're evolutionist or creationist, it doesn't matter. Both beliefs for the better end, which through the transformation, you become better every day. You come to school, you listen to my lecture or other professor's lecture today. And the reason that you're coming to school and spending 2 hours every Monday is because you want to become a better person. You want to be transformed. So each day, each moment, each hour, and each class, you are changing. Though you may not realize it at the time, but you continue to change. And I pray and hope and wish that you'll change for the better, because you want to become a better person. Not only your knowledge, but in your heart. I want you to become a better person. And the Christianity is all about you becoming a better person. Of course, with the help of God. That's probably the only difference. Many try to become a better person by your own effort, with your own talent, with your own empowerment. But there is a limit. But when you have a God's help and developing and becoming better, you reach beyond yourself. So that's how Christians believe in the transformation and the history. So your history, your personal, individual history is going to change when you become a Christian. And I have experienced that, and many has experienced the same experience. The society, it's a context and it's a society. So Christians have a particular society they come and to belong. So Christian society is a church, and it has a shared identity, and it's a community. It's called something called koinonia, meaning common sharing. And that's a Greek word for common sharing. And it's called, again, fellowship. And ecclesia means, it's also a Greek word. And it means called out from, to. So it's like a summon. I mean, you bring someone from there to here and bring them into a gathering. And so that's, the ecclesia is actually the Greek word for the church. Again, initiative and sense of belonging. It provides a sense of belonging. Many modern people, especially the young people, they are very individualistic. Even those who grew up in the socialist countries like China and Korea also. They used to be very community-oriented. Now, young people in those countries even, I mean, Western world, they've been very individualistic since many generations ago. But many Asian people, young people, are experiencing that individualistic thoughts and existence. And the problem with that is you lose the sense of belonging. That's why the suicide rate is so high in some of the countries we know. So providing sense of belonging is key to the Christian faith. So what we are trying to do is to make them to belong and to help each other become a family, another kind of family. I'm doing the lecture. I mean, this is a kind of special lecture for you guys, since your professor is away today. And the title of today's lecture is What is Christianity? Since you are studying the Old Testament leadership, probably this is relevant. And for those who came a little late, let me introduce again myself. This is my name, Hwang. That's how I write it in Chinese. And you Chinese people know what it means, right? And I teach another class every Tuesday at this school. And for this quarter, I'm teaching Christianity 101. So this is a part of the lecture that I'm doing. And I'm a pastor in a church for younger people, college and up. And also I work as a hospice chaplain for those who are dying or to die within 6 month period. So that's my job, another job. I'm a Korean, and I was born in Seoul and raised until 17, and then moved to Africa for several years and studied there and graduated high school and came back to Korea to the college education. And you may have heard of Yonsei University in Seoul, and that's where I majored in English. But later on I majored theology and also got a PhD, doctor's degree on international development. Though it's an international development, actually it is about the missionary degree. So I studied the missions, and well, that's my brief introduction. Now, church. Church does three things mainly. It has the relationship with God. That's the first thing. And then relationship with other believers. And then relationship beyond the church, which is the world. unbelieving world. So that's basically what the church is about. So it's not just the church that a place that you come to do the worship and go home. That's only part of it. Actually, church is learning about God and having fellowship with your fellow believers, and also serving and transforming the world. Okay, ecology of a church as a context. So this is what the ecology is in general concept. Ecology has to do more with the environment, the nature, how to keep the earth clean. That's a modern use of the term ecology. But when we talk about in academic sense, ecology is something beyond who you are. Everything that helps you and constructs you. So that's the ecology. And Christian ecology is about climate, environment, and living conditions. Christians are concerned. I mean, those who are mainly concerned with the earth today, how it's going to be. Majority of them are Christians. Because Christians believe God has given this earth, whole earth, for us to manage. And some people did not manage the earth the way it should be. So as a Christian, you feel responsible. And as Christian ecology, it integrates and influences, transforms. And then we go quickly on this. Then culture. This is an important topic for anyone, not just Christian, but everyone. What is a culture? This is how people usually define a culture. Culture can be defined as all the behaviors, ways of life, arts, and beliefs and institutions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. Culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. Korea has a Korean culture. Japan has a Japanese culture. California has its own culture compared to the New England in the east. So even though we are in America, America is a very, big land, and it has a different culture. If you go to Louisiana, that's quite a different culture than California. So those are what the culture is. And China has several hundred tribes or minority groups, and they have their unique own cultures. So those are the general concept of culture. And as a Christian, Christianity, it creates a culture of its own. So culture involves these things: languages and customs and education and rituals. These are the elements of culture. And if you're a Christian, you're having a kind of different culture than you used to know. Christian culture, it redefines. The key word is redefine. When you become a believer, born again Christian, baptized with the Holy Spirit, then you redefine your family. It's not the same as you used to know. And your career, your job is going to be different. You redefine it. And your entertainment, whether you're seeing movie or cartoons or go to nightclubs. Some Christians believe that you are not supposed to go to nightclubs, but I don't think so. You can go to nightclubs, but you're going to redefine your entertainment. Marriage is going to be different when you become a Christian. And community and friendship, all these things, you are going to define. So, becoming a Christian is a big change. It's not just you going to church every Sunday. That's only the little thing. It redefines your life, your culture. Christianity as reasoning. Probably this is most important element in understanding Christianity. So it's a reasoning, meaning there's a problem, there are issues, and your life is not without trouble. I mean, you face daily responsibilities. Those are the things that you face every day. And with the people with the right mind, you will always ask the question, why? Why should I go through this? Why should I go into trouble? Why should my children get sick? And eventually you will ask, why do I have to die? And to begin with, you will ask, why am I born to this world? These are the major questions that you are going to ask. Some of you may have answers already, and some of you may not. And those who have answers to these questions, for example, why am I here on earth? Period. And you have your own answers, right? But what if the answer that you know and you already accepted is wrong? Then you are in trouble again, right? Bigger trouble than you used to. So you have to have the way to, see if the answers that I have is the right one or not. So this is what it is. The main question, what is the truth? So the answer that you have, is it true? Is it truth? I mean, people tell you answers, right? The education that you've been doing 11, 12 years before you go to college, and now you're in college, adding more education, and if those education is not giving you answers, what's the worth of doing all the education? But the education is supposed to provide you with the truth. So what is truth? Truth is this, define the actual fact or facts about the matter or life. And it's a statement or principle that is generally considered to be true. So generally considered to be true, I should say absolutely considered to be true is truth. If it's not absolute, if it's a general, some people, majority say this is truth and some others say it's not, then you have a question. So if that truth is challenged, you should be able to defend the truth. And the Christianity, I believe and we believe, I believe as a Christian, the teaching in the Bible, the major teaching, that God exists and God loves you and God is going to judge you. And these things are the truth, part of truth. And it's been challenged thousand years, several thousand years to today. And it stands still. So is the Islam faith. I mean, they've been challenged many years, and it still stands. So there's the Islam saying this is truth. Muhammad is the last prophet, and he finalized all the prophecy. That's the claim of Islam truth. So these things, what we claim to be truth, are going to be challenged. What truth does is it provides a reason for your being, and reason for what you're doing. I told you at the beginning, there's a being part and doing part. And the truth provides those reasons. And if you're married and if you have children, your children are going to ask many questions. And some of the questions are going to be life-changing questions that you need to answer. And if you do not have your own answers to yourself, and you're in trouble because you're not going to be able to give a good, wise answer to your children. You don't want anyone else give your children the answers and shove idea to their head. And as a parent, it's your responsibility to give them the wise answers. And so the truth is about the reasons, and it's about the meanings. And I mean, when you come to school today, to spend a couple hours listening to someone else telling you, and you have to have a right reason to come here. And everyone may have different reasons. And that reason comes as a meaning. Is it really, really meaningful to you? And the answer, if the answer is probably not, or I do not know, then you have to think twice. So as an adult and as a young people, it is, I mean, these are two key things. Do you have the reason for your existence? And do you have the meaning for your existence? And if the answer is probably not, or you don't know, then you have to find it before you do anything. It provides the trust. If someone tells you the truth, that's the person that you can, trust. I mean, those who are telling you the truth, he or she is the one that you trust. And people may tell you the truth, and they may not. And that depends on. But God, we believe, God always tells the truth. He's the one who, not only He is the truth, He is going to tell you the truth. That's why God is trustworthy. He is the one who we can trust. And provides the commitment. Because you trust that person, that individual, that's why you are committed. And the children, whether you believe it or not, they believe your father and that their father and mothers are the one who's telling them the truth. They never doubt until they grow up. So young babies and toddlers and children in elementary school, they believe you because they think the parents are always telling them the truth. And if you don't, then you are, doing harm to your kids. So the character of truth is always, it has to be absolute, it's everlasting, it doesn't change. And the truth is that there's only one truth. Because this truth says to another truth, this is not true. And this says to this, this is not true. So both cannot be true. So Christianity says this is truth, and the Islam says this is truth, and Buddhism says this is truth. So which one do you believe? And there has to be only one truth. Not all of them cannot be. And okay, next. So this is what Jesus, the Jesus of Nazareth, 2,000 years ago, who walked around the lake of Galilee, he's the one who said this. And when someone says something, you have to kind of make a judgment on that. And so especially when someone claims this, I am the way and the truth and the life. I mean, this is a big claim to say. And Jesus boldly said that. No one comes to the Father, meaning God, except through me. So he's saying, only through me you can come to God, the Father. So if someone says that, you have a big question. Is it really true? And us as an intelligent being, as a being with the reasons, we should answer and pursue the question. Is he really? Either he's crazy, or he's lying, or he's really saying the truth. There are only three cases. So when he's not Jesus is not an imaginary guy. It's not like Aladdin in the Aladdin movie or Cinderella. No, he's the one who actually exists. As much as we know, President Trump is alive and real. This Jesus was real and alive. So if he said that, we need to ask, is it true? He must be crazy, or he's trying to just cheat us. So Christianity is more than a religion, and it is a spirituality. This is not a new vocabulary. It's not a new word. But you're going to hear this a lot in America. In 21st century, you're going to hear more often about spirituality. And if I ask you, what is your spirituality? I'm not asking about Islam and Christianity. Those are more highly organized religions. So Christianity, it has the scriptures. That's what you're studying, the Old Testament. That's part of it. And we have the New Testament and Old Testament. And it has the systematic orders. There's the pastor, the Pope, and the priest, and all these systems. And it has a solid doctrine. And it does have organization, and it does have programs and functions. That makes Christianity or church an organized religion, but it's more than that. It has a solid leadership, formal rituals, and formal sanctuaries. And you see many church buildings, just like we see Buddhist temples in Asia. So it is an organized religion, but it's more than that. So this is it is a worldview. So what is worldview? This is how you see the world. People, if you're about this age, college age, and you have a certain worldview. You have the ways of seeing the world. Not only see it, you interpret it, and you kind of have some answers. Even though you may not have all the answers, you do have some answers. You know that a guy is different from girl, and the place you were born, the original place you were born, and then the America that you see is quite a different country, and there are many racial, ethnic presentations. These are the power of worldview. So you are able to see the things, and you kind of put the reasons and meanings to it. So worldview, a way to observe and interpret reality, the surroundings, your existence. It's a way to understand the world around us, and it can enhance or limit our ability to observe and interpret reality. So not only worldview interprets your reality, but it also at the same time it limits or it even enhances or increase or make it better to understand the world. So you continue to develop your worldview until you die. And your worldview changes from A to B, B to C, as you grow and mature. So this is how we understand what the worldview. Worldview interprets all these things. So Christianity as a worldview, it interprets life. So Christianity says, this is life. This is what the life is. And it also gives some answers, though not all the answers, but it provides the major, key, important answers. And Christianity provides meanings, and it does have some paradigms. Paradigms is a key part of your worldview. Again, as a college student, you are going to hear that word paradigms over and over again. So that's one of the key vocabularies for college kids. And then it does have some ethical, moral guides. So if you're a Christian, there is a certain moral standard that you need to follow. And it's a philosophy. Philosophy. What is philosophy? So that's part of philosophy. It involves cause and arguments, and there are certain isms. Those are the philosophies. So this is Rodin's sculpture, and it's a thinking man, right? Thinking man. He's a probably most known philosopher. Everyone knows him. So philosophy is pursuit of wisdom. It's pursuit of wisdom. You can be smart, but smart doesn't mean being wise. So smart and wise is two different things. You don't necessarily have to be smart to be wise. So, but I believe wise person is better than a smart person. Your IQ might be 150, 140, but that doesn't mean that you're a wise person. Philosophy provides the wisdom, and you know, I can say this. When you're young people, some of you are married, but many of you are not. In a marriage, just try to find a wise person, a person with a wisdom. That's probably the best element in deciding who you to marry. And I just strongly recommend to marry a person who is wise. And you will never fail. So the wisdom in understand the values, what's important, what is not important. That's wisdom. Which is good and which is bad, which is right, which is wrong. If you are able to discern and make a judgment on those, then you are wise. And the most wisdom that you need is which is good and which is evil. It takes quite a wisdom to understand what the evil is, to identify the evil. And Christianity provides the category to understand evil and the wrong and the values. So Christianity provides reasons. It explains things, phenomenon, the things that are happening around you. It interprets life, and it reasons your existence, and it explains reality. So that's the philosophy. I mean, philosophy side of Christianity. Christianity does all these things, where the philosophy and ideology. Definition of ideology. It's like being a Republican and Democrat. That's ideology. It's a matter of the content of thinking, characteristic of an individual, group, or culture. Christianity includes the system of meaningful concept on life, theories and aims of socio-political context, and thoughts and ideas for individuals, groups. So ideology basically tells you how to govern, how to rule, how to exercise your authority, and how to use your power. So that has to do with the ideology. And some of you lived in a country where the powerful government rules everything. I've been there many years. I mean, Korea hasn't been that new. We have experienced pretty much the similar things that China had. So very authoritarian dictator kind of government. And then now it is changing. Those systems, those has to do with ideology. And the Christianity, you may think it's just a religion, go pray and worship and listen to sermons, but it is more than that. Christianity also teaches you how to govern the organization, a group of people or nation. So it does have ideology part in it. And that's why the democracy came out of Christian faith. You think, I mean, if you do not know the history, you may not think that way. But if you know the history, democracy is a product of a Christian faith, Christianity. Okay, finally, Christianity as praxis or practice. Praxis is a theological doctrine, word for practice. So it involves the doing things. There are certain ways you do things if you are a Christian. So it's about lifestyle. It's about lifestyle. Lifestyle is the way in which a person or group lives. And it involves the habits, attitude, taste, moral standards, economic level, and etc. Then together constitute the mode of living of an individual or group. So it's pretty much similar to a culture, but culture tells about the whole group, and the lifestyle is more about individuals. So even within the same big culture, each individual may have a different lifestyle. And Christianity pursues or seeks, go after a certain lifestyle. And it's not like you have to live like this, but there's like a guideline or rather a principle on your lifestyle. So there's something called a Christian lifestyle, and it involves how your work, your career, your health, and friends, time, and family. All these things, you have certain way of doing it. So it has a distinctive lifestyle, custom, and tradition. So it even decides what kind of food you eat, what kind of drink that you drink, and there is like a certain dressing code. It's about principle. Christians are not encouraged to have intoxicating food, whether it's wine, alcohol, or marijuana drugs, cocaine. These things are intoxicating. So That's like a principle, a guideline for a Christian, what to eat or what not to eat and drink. And the dressing code, basically, you do not want to offend other people by the things that you're wearing, or tempt others by your dress. I mean, those are probably the guidelines that Christians follow. There are certain languages that you use and you do not use as a Christian. And there's some morals that you have to follow. So this is how we believe. Our Christian lifestyle speaks much louder than our Christian vocabulary. I mean, Christians say a lot of things. I mean, it's easy to say something, but it's difficult to follow what you have said. So your lifestyle, the action speaks louder than your words. That's the same thing. Christian faith is exhibited, it's expressed, and it's shown through the lifestyle they live. I know you have seen some Christians who do not, you cannot respect. And I don't believe they are really, truly being a Christian in that sense. So, but there are many Christians whom you can respect. For example, I mean, President Carter, he used to be a president, but now he's working. He's 90-something years old, and he got hurt by doing the Habitat program, but he's still doing it. And that shows his lifestyle. I mean, he still teaches in a Sunday school in a church every Sunday. So President Carter is a good example. This is from the Bible. 1 Corinthians 7:35 says, I am saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way in undivided devotion to the Lord. So there's a certain right way to live. So that's Christian lifestyle. So Bible commands us to live a certain right lifestyle. Okay, why don't we close here, and you can have your day. Thank you, and enjoy your day.